Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Brianna Wilson. I'm a certified dementia practitioner and the founder of Bambu Care, where you can find us at letsbamboo.com. So before we get into today's topic, I wanted to share something that may be helpful if you are navigating a possible or new dementia diagnosis, and that is the Treehouse, which is an all-in-one dementia care library for dementia caregivers, and it offers practical education and resources that extend beyond what you will find on our YouTube channel. So if that sounds interesting to you and you would like to check it out and learn more, you can visit letsbamboo.com/treehouse. There's also a free trial option available. Plus, you can watch all of our videos, including the ones you see here on YouTube, ad-free, okay? So today we're going to be talking about 4 things that you should know about getting a dementia diagnosis. Let's get started. So number 1 is if you have any concerns about your memory or thinking skills, or any other symptoms you may be experiencing, like changes in your ability to communicate, your vision, or motor control, your first point of contact should be your primary care physician. That is who you want to let know what's going on with you. And then, based on what you tell them and what their findings are, they may then refer you to a specialist like a neurologist. Now, I won't spend too much time on this point because I actually made a whole video talking about the different doctors and what role they play when it comes to getting answers in a diagnosis. So I'll link that in the eye in the sky as well as in the description box, okay? The second thing that is important to understand is that a dementia diagnosis is identified through a differential diagnosis process. So what does that even mean? It means that there has to be a rule-out process to determine what may be causing the symptoms the person is experiencing. Why? Because there are so many conditions that have similar symptoms. So, a dementia diagnosis isn't really a definitive diagnosis. It's more like based on what we know, what we've tested for, and what we've been able to rule out, insert diagnosis is most likely what is contributing to the symptoms. It's the most likely explanation for the symptoms the person has been experiencing. So, if we're being honest, in most cases, it's just a best guess, okay? The gold standard for making a definitive diagnosis at this point in time is still an autopsy, okay? The third thing is that early detection matters, but it isn't always easy. So first, why does early detection even matter? So for one, the earlier they can figure out what may be going on with you, the earlier your symptoms can be treated, or in some cases, depending on what's going on, your symptoms may even be able to be reversed. Secondly, the sooner you know what's going on with you, the sooner you and your family can better prepare and plan for the future, and also make important decisions when it comes to finances, care, and legal matters, okay? Now, why is early detection sometimes difficult? Well, first, the person experiencing the symptoms has to see their symptoms as a problem, and a problem enough to bring up to the doctor. You know, a lot of people have the tendency to blow off their symptoms and relate them to something else. Like, oh, well, I'm getting old, or, oh, I've been a little stressed, or, I haven't really been drinking enough water or getting enough sleep. And so in the beginning, the symptoms aren't incredibly significant or distressing for the person. But at some point, what can also happen is that as those symptoms are kind of blown off, the person can develop what's called anosognosia, which is a lack of insight into their deficits. So at some point, they won't be able to see what they're experiencing as a problem. To them, everything is fine. So then when other people start bringing up their challenges, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. You're over exaggerating. You're being dramatic. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Now, let's say that the person is aware of their symptoms and they do bring it up to the doctor. Well, self-report is good, as well as the report of others. But if the doctor isn't able to detect anything when they do their testing and screens, then the issue can still be overlooked, okay? As another example, if you are relatively young, then your symptoms may be dismissed, and the doctor may assume that stress is the reason for your symptoms. You see, right now, there is really no standardized process for early detection or for diagnosing any form of dementia. So, the quality of care when it comes to the screening process and follow up testing really depends on your doctor, who they refer you to, and honestly, what your insurance covers. Because sometimes there are tests that your insurance doesn't cover, and so because your insurance doesn't cover it, the doctor won't even bring it up. So, if you have concerns or you feel like your concerns aren't being taken seriously, then it's important that you advocate for yourself or seek out a different doctor if necessary. Also, if you're willing and able to pay out of pocket for tests that your insurance company may not cover, it's important to communicate that to the doctor so that they can make sure that they are recommending all the tests that would make sense for what your symptoms are, what they think might be going on, and also refer you to the appropriate specialist, okay? And then also, early detection can be difficult because sometimes getting a diagnosis can take years. And that leads us into number 4. So, the fourth thing that is important to understand is that getting a dementia diagnosis can require extensive testing and be a long, drawn out process that occurs over several visits or even several years. Again, early detection is not easy, and a differential diagnosis process has to occur. So it can take a long time to figure out what may be going on with you. So, for example, when it comes to getting a diagnosis of, let's say, frontotemporal dementia, on average, it takes about 3 to 6 years from the onset of symptoms to get that diagnosis. For other types of dementia, it can take 1 to 5 years on average to get a dementia diagnosis. So, like I said, sometimes this is not always a quick and easy process. Now, let me just briefly elaborate on the extensive testing that is often required. So, depending on your doctor and any specialist involved, this may vary a bit, okay? But typically, good, thorough doctors are going to want to take a look at your social and family history, your medical history, do a physical examination, review all your medications, do a depression screen, run blood tests and other lab tests, do a neurological exam, testing your nerve function, muscle strength and muscle tone, reflexes, presence of tremors, and do some brain imaging tests. Depending on what's going on, they may want you to go get a vision and hearing test. They may want a sleep study to be done, mental cognitive screens, or full-blown neuropsychological testing, which can take like 4 to 6 hours and be rough for anyone. Now, usually they do provide breaks or they'll even split it across multiple days, but still, it can be a very long, tedious process. And then they may have you monitor certain symptoms over time to see if they get better, stay the same, or get worse. Okay? So, as you can see, this can be a very involved, long, and drawn out process that some people just may not be motivated to continue to pursue until the doctor can get a better understanding of what may be going on. But what I will say is that the better that you can document and track your symptoms, the more helpful it will be to those involved in your care, especially when it comes to what the symptoms are, when they started, how they progressed over time, what makes them better or worse, and how they impact your daily life, okay? So those are the 4 things you should know about getting a dementia diagnosis. If you are currently in the process of getting a diagnosis, or maybe you've already gone through the process and you would like to share your experience, please leave a comment down below so that others that watch this video can learn from your experience. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those as well. And if you're in need of more guidance and support, please check out letsbamboo.com. Until next time, bye guys.